Hello and welcome to the Of Mouse Men podcast. As always, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Angelo.
And how is everyone doing today? How are you, Angelo? How's your day?
I'm doing good, you know. We're just hanging out over here. What about you, Kevin?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm preparing because, like Brer Rabbit, we're about to plunge into this episode.
Wow, great analogy.
Thank you. It took me an hour to come up with that.
Really? Oh, no.
I know. I was sitting here writing it before you called. Anyway, how is everybody? And yes, we are talking about Splash Mountain today, the ride that once was. Angelo.
Splash Mountain's getting an overhaul. It is going to turn into Princess and the Frog, so we're going to talk all about that, all about possible future, what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, and our thoughts on it, basically.
And that's a fact. It's no longer an idea. That's happening. Yeah, it will now be Princess and the Frog. And I woke up to this on Thursday, and I was saddened. I mean, I don't know how you were, Angelo. I think I messaged you, Angelo.
I just couldn't believe it actually happened or was happening.
So, a little behind this. Well, Splash Mountain is my favorite ride. Okay, I'm gonna put that out there for the discussion of this topic. Splash Mountain is my favorite ride. It's a very problematic ride, but it is my favorite ride. And so just you're always gonna be sad, I think, losing an attraction. But for me personally, this is my favorite attraction. So the fact that I'm losing the attraction I love most is a little saddened, but there's stuff ahead.
Yeah, of course a lot of people are upset about it. I think, like, obviously whenever we lose a beloved attraction, it's going to be like, yeah, of course it's sad, but I understand why it needs to go, why it needs to change, because of its history with Song of the South and racist stereotypes in the film being racist. And I understand why they're changing it. So I'm looking forward to the Princess and the Frog version to see what we get, but obviously there's always that bit of sadness just for the classic ride that is no more.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I went on Splash Mountain, it was at Disneyland, and it was night because I think Fantasmic had just ended, and it was my last ride of the night, and I wanted to go on Splash Mountain because the line was long. I didn't get to go on it during the day, and I had never been on it before. So I really wanted to go on it. My mother was adamant I wouldn't go on it because I'd get soaking wet, and we're about to leave. But I went on it, and I got wet. And I remember sitting on the bus while going back to our hotel, looking out at Tower of Terror in the distance, just soaking wet in my seat. But I didn't regret it for a second.
That's a great ride at night.
Splash Mountain?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I think it's like almost a different ride at night because the outdoor scenes are really cool at night.
No, yeah, it's real good.
But yeah, I remember it was like my battle scar that I got wet. When you go on Splash Mountain and get wet, it's like, look what this kid did.
I mean, it was the Disneyland version, right? That's the one where you actually get wet on.
That's the one where you actually... I don't know, did they modify... Because I know they modified the Disney World one to kind of spray out more instead of on you.
I think it's something to do with, like, the car, because it's 2 people in Disney World per row. Where Splash Mountain's...
Which do you
Disneyland
prefer?
Is one.
Which do you prefer, 2 or 1?
I don't remember the Disneyland one that much. So I don't know. I don't know if I can say.
I prefer 1 for Space Mountain and 2 for Splash Mountain.
So Space Mountain.
I think that's a hot take.
Disneyland's Space Mountain is infinitely better with 2. And just the ride is actually good in Disneyland. And that's...
I know. I really like Disneyland Splash Mountain. I mean, Disneyland Space Mountain. Disney World's Space Mountain. Whoa.
I don't.
With that one. I think it's so much fun. I get whipped around. Woo! It's good. I love it.
No.
Yeah, roll your eyes, Angelo. You're gonna shame me for my opinion.
But yeah, so Splash Mountain is no more. As we said, it was... So if you don't know Splash Mountain, the characters in it are based on the film or from the film Song of the South. That movie made... I don't know the exact year, but Kevin, what's the exact year? Do we know the exact year?
That Splash Mountain
1946.
Open? Oh, the movie.
No, the movie. 1946, and it features racist stereotypes. And the movie is racist. Disney hasn't released it since because of that. So it makes sense, obviously, that a ride where it's based on the characters from that film, you can understand, obviously, why it's probably time to abandon that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with the statements. I fully understand why they're getting rid of it. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. So just for more context, just so in case you don't know.
And I think what is interesting about Splash Mountain is the of why they. I think it's interesting that in the 1980s, right? That's when it was like the late 1980s when the ride opened, right? Or late 70s, 80s. Late 70s. It might be 79.
89.
89. So
at Disneyland.
So late 80s. And they knew the ride was... The characters were problematic when they opened the ride. But I think the statement they make is that it gave these characters a new identity outside the movie. Which I think was like a lot of people grew up knowing these characters not tied to the movie. Because the movie's clearly not okay, right? So they grew up with these characters, and I kind of like that now there's happy memories tied to Splash Mountain, but I do understand it's got to go, right? And that's the decision Disney made.
Yeah, and with it going, we open up new possibilities. As Walt always said, what's the quote people use?
That quote, it's never that.
It's never done, right?
Yeah,
it's never finished.
It's the quote,
we're doing a lot of looking up in this episode.
It's like as long as there's still imagination left in the world, something like that, their park will never be completed, right?
Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world. So
right,
we're gonna see something new.
I love that quote, but I would like to stress with that quote, he says imagination, not intellectual properties, but.
I mean, that's more of a commentary on everything being
everything Disney's been
properties.
Doing, right? I understand. But when people make that, like when they get rid of, when they do certain things like Pixar Pier and people quote that, I'm like, yeah, a lot of imagination went into Inside Out.
A lot of imagination did go into that.
Okay.
I mean, that's just intellectual properties.
Right. And I Pixar Pier is fine. The Incredicoaster is a whole different thing. Pixar Pier is fine.
In this case, you're replacing an intellectual property with an intellectual property, right?
Right.
And I mean, that's a lot of the case now since everything's an intellectual property.
So, yeah.
Oh, no.
So let's get into this Princess and the Frog idea. Because this idea has been going around the fan community, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah.
When it first came on my radar, I believe it was Jenny Nicholson who was doing something, and she put it on my radar. I thought it was in this one podcast, and I went back to listen to it, and she didn't say it in that podcast. So I have to find where I think she said it. But Splash Mountain being my favorite ride, I was like, this is an interesting idea. I love the Princess and the Frog movie. I think it's a great movie with great characters. And I do think it's time that movie gets a ride. I think it's time a lot of things get rides. Tangled. But I did think this was an interesting idea, like converting Splash Mountain over into Princess and the Frog. I did have one problem with that idea, and we'll get to it when we go forward. But yeah.
Now I'm interested to what the problem is.
Well, you have to keep listening to the podcast.
Oh no, I'm on the edge of my seat. So we're getting Princess and the Frog. We have some concept art.
Yes.
Here.
So yes, and
is
then
it concept art or is it fan art?
The official concept art they released?
Which
are you talking about? What are you looking at?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Are you looking at Princess Tiana and Louise?
I'm looking at the one in our Google Drive.
Okay. So you're looking at Princess Tiana and Louise. That's an official concept art from Disney.
Okay, that's official concept art.
Yes. So when people were talking about this...
Because there was fan art of it.
Yeah. Yes. And that fan art, let me just be honest, that's concept art for a movie. That's not what an attraction would ever look like. I feel like that people were sending out that concept like, look what this ride could look like. And I'm sitting there thinking like, it would never look like this, in my opinion. Like, how would it ever look like this? There were these amazing outdoor scenery. Like, okay. But this official, my whole thing was I was like, I think they could do a Princess and the Frog ride well. And we'll see if they end up doing it, right? When there was all this speculation, there was a petition to get Splash Mountain made into Princess and the Frog, right? I was like, it could be done well. We'll see how it goes. And then Thursday happened, Angelo.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I was cautiously optimistic. I'm still cautiously optimistic, but I'm very cautiously optimistic.
Why so, Kevin?
So looking, first of all, this concept art. I want to specify, this concept art looks fantastic. I love how it looks. Also, keep in mind, Disney concept art is famous for not being what the concept art is, right? We've discussed it many times on the podcast. It's always something like,
True.
oh my God, such a great thing. And then you get
this is pretty tame concept art, though. There's nothing like insane.
I agree. I think it looks beautiful. But here's where I draw. Okay. I need to be very careful with what I say.
Is it the boat in the tree?
No.
Is that the issue?
That's Mama Odie's house, right? Is it her house in the movie? Gosh, I need to rewatch Princess and the Frog. It's her house,
yeah,
right?
we gotta rewatch it sometime.
It's Mama Odie's house, or her where she meets Tiana. So yeah, okay. So I like this idea. I think this ride is perfect for Critter Country. I think it is perfect for Critter Country. Where it does not fit is Frontierland, which is where it is in Disney World. So I think it's great for Disneyland. I do not think this is in any way something that can go in Frontierland, in my opinion. I don't know what the Louisiana Bayou is doing in the middle of 19th century American frontier.
I mean, couldn't we say the same thing about Splash Mountain, though?
But Splash Mountain, that was one thing. So I think you can do it, but the Splash Mountain exterior is very different than the exterior that I'm looking at right now. You just look at the rocks. The rocks in this concept art are these the gray rocks that don't match theme wise to Frontierland. I don't think it fits. This luscious tree, because the bayou is very luscious. It has a lot of plants, and I think you are doing a disservice to Princess and the Frog and the attraction if you don't have the bayou looking the way it does in the movie with like the big trees, luscious plants, right? But that doesn't fit in Frontierland.
I mean, I can understand some of the theming stuff, but I also feel like we're so far past a lot of this theming stuff in other like aspects. And I mean, it's still like a fair like thing to be like it might not fit, but there's so much that doesn't fit at this point. Like Haunted Mansion being like
Haunted Mansion, I think
around there.
I agree. It doesn't really go with the vibe, but it's off in the distance. But I was listening to a podcast, I think 6 months to a year ago, possibly. Yeah. And I forget what it was, but the person said, where do you see Disney in a few years, right? The parks, like Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, like the lands. And they said, I think you're going to have the lands themselves won't exist like they do today. They will be loose constructs to a bunch of IPs that are in the lands that are loosely affiliated with a certain land.
I'd argue they already are.
I don't know. Because, like, you can make the argument, what is Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor doing in Tomorrowland? Which, right?
Yeah.
But I think theme-wise, it aesthetically looks like it fits. This, to me, doesn't aesthetically look like it fits in Frontierland. It ruins the aesthetic of Frontierland.
I mean, it's also concept art.
Right. But that's what's worrying me, is this is the concept art. And I wouldn't be concerned, Angelo, but this is the concept art for Magic Kingdom. They specified it. This is Magic Kingdom's concept art, not Disneyland's. And so to me, this signifies to me that they're not I don't think they're going for the Frontierland look, which I think is missed. That's just my take. I think
that's an interesting take. I can kind of see it.
And the only way I see this kind of works is if you break it off. You can make a Critter Country you're gonna somehow have to do it. Make a critter country in Magic Kingdom, right? But that's gonna take so much money and room that I don't think they have.
I mean, I can see that. I think the lands are at this point so, like, such like.
I agree
like
with you.
They've strayed so far from their original like interpretations that it's kind of like, all right.
And I agree with that, but I think the thing that they've kept is the aesthetic. And this to me is them losing the aesthetic. Tomorrowland hasn't really had an aesthetic in years.
I don't think it's this big a deal, to be honest with you, Kevin. I don't think that this is like the breaking point.
Angelo, there's this giant tree. There's this luscious giant tree sticking out. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. And another part that I'm cautiously optimistic is the ride itself. We'll talk about. But yeah, so that's my feeling on it aesthetically. I think it's great in Critter Country, not good in Magic Kingdom. I don't think it fits with Frontierland. Because Haunted Mansion is caught in between Fantasyland and Liberty Square. Like, I don't even think it's really in Liberty Square, and it's not in Fantasyland. I mean, so yeah,
it's also like right across from Tom Sawyer's Island. It's a mess.
Right.
It's like Liberty Square's only attraction, really.
But like
Hall of Presidents.
When you go on,
listen, I love Liberty Square, right?
Right, I do too. But I think they do when you go to Disney and you take their tour. They made such a big deal about Pirates of the Caribbean, bringing pirates over from Disneyland because it's in New Orleans Square, in Disneyland, and how they had to reimagine what Pirates was as a brand and to make it fit into Adventureland. And to me, I don't see that being done here. To me, it just looks like you took the bayou from Princess and the Frog and you stuck it into Frontierland, which, I mean, I love the bayou from Princess and the Frog. I think when people were talking about rides for Princess and the Frog, my favorite idea was a boat ride to the bayou. But
it's busy over again.
And we'll talk more about the ride of Princess and the Frog. Another thing that I'm kind of iffy about is them taking Princess and the Frog, which I would like to see like a great attraction for, and putting it into Splash Mountain. But so
I think though, like with theming and stuff, they can do so much with like that bayou like idea, like in. And I think you already even get like parts of that, like at the end, the Zippity Doodah part, and you have like the, oh my god, I'm blanking on what's the boat called?
In Splash Mountain?
Yeah, well, not like the name of the like that kind of boat that is.
Oh.
Am I dumb? What kind of boat is that, Kevin?
You're not dumb. I don't know. I mean, we both might be dumb. Is it
a ferry? No, it's not a ferry boat.
Ferry. It's I know what you're talking about though.
Like the boat at the end can fit the aesthetic. You know what I mean? Oh my god, I'm so dumb. What is the boat called?
Hold on.
I spelled boat wrong, Kevin.
Uh-oh. We're really losing IQ today.
I mean, this is real bad.
It's a river boat? Is that what it's... Would that be what
sure.
it's called?
Like that part is like, I feel like a lot of that can just be easily rethemed to like Bayou-esque, you know?
Yeah. Did you know
I feel like a lot of the ride already is kind of like that.
Did you know that the Liberty Bell is considered a party boat?
What do you mean?
Like the Liberty Bell at Magic Kingdom?
What do you mean by party boat?
I don't know. I quickly looked it up, and it says it's a kind of river. It's a river boat, and it's a party boat. I don't know. Someone can fact check that for me. They're probably like, Kevin, you misreading this. But yeah,
Kevin, when we go to Disney, we just spending all our time on the river boat.
The Liberty Bell?
Yeah.
You want to ride it? I don't think I've ever ridden the Liberty Bell. I may have a long time ago.
Yeah, same. You know what okay, we'll get into it. Never mind. I have some words about Tom Sawyer's Island.
Why is that still there?
I mean, that's my word.
I really like Tom Sawyer's Island. Like I
liked it when I was cool. 8, Kevin. I don't know.
But Disney's for the kids, Angelo. But I think why don't we build
closed half the time?
Why don't we build our Princess and the Frog attraction there?
What? Well, because we need to get rid of Splash Mountain.
I understand that. I don't understand why we can't get rid of Splash Mountain. See, this. Okay, we'll go. The thing about this putting Princess and the Frog here, I think this was an opportunity to literally come up with an idea like not that wasn't intellectual property, like a brand new
Kevin, that would
idea
never
for a ride.
happen.
That would never happen. But I feel like if it was ever going to happen, this is the opportunity to do it. You have to get rid of the characters on your attraction, so just rethink the attraction. Break it
just
down
put
to square
Princess
one.
and the Frog in Tom Sawyer's Island.
You could, because I don't think Tom Sawyer's Island fits with Frontierland. It's its own thing. So, I mean...
Yeah, listen, I think Tom Sawyer's Island, gut it, put Tiana's restaurant, make it more bayou-themed, easy money. Put Southern New Orleans food in the restaurant.
There's this
That's
whole
my
thing
pitch. That's my big thing, is that we need the restaurant.
Right? Okay. I think Princess and the Frog should have a restaurant, like, ASAP, before we get a ride. I think it's perfect for a restaurant. The movie's
Well, there's a restaurant on one of the cruise ships.
Is there? Is it themed
that's
to the
what
movie?
I heard.
Oh, that's cool.
I'd imagine so.
But there's talks that you should retheme the area by Splash Mountain to like a New Orleans square. And to me, that's taking a lot of... They're just throwing a lot of... Like, that's a lot of work. And I don't think Disney, especially where we are financially now, is going to do that. They have 2 construction projects they're already working on that have been held. So they're like doing construction at times. Tron and I think Guardians of the Galaxy are like periodically doing construction, right? And that's the thing.
Right.
When do you think this ride's gonna happen?
Like 2022.
Because they say in
imagine.
the thing, they're like, when do we think it's gonna happen? And they're like, you know what? We're doing a lot of stuff, so we don't know. And I think I honestly, Angelo, I feel like it could be years. I think Splash Mountain could be open for another 1.5 to 2 years. I think.
I mean, it's interesting.
I don't know.
But your thing is you don't want them to change everything into like a New Orleans Square Bayou area.
I mean, I think changing it into like a critter, like a New Orleans Square. I don't know if it would fit. Like a critter country kind of would fit. Like I would be fine with that.
I feel like a New Orleans Square could work though, because what do you have on like the left of Splash Mountain? You have like country.
So here's
like,
the thing.
Just overhaul some stuff.
It fits
Liberty Square to. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you can go. I have an idea.
Liberty Square to that.
I have an idea you could put stuff there. The problem is that's where the parade starts. You have a huge backstage area there. So you don't have a lot of room to really do anything. And you can't really get rid of the backstage area where the parade starts. Because I don't see any other way they could start the parade anywhere else. Right?
Where do they start the... Oh, wait, I'm trying to look at this map. Where do they start the parade?
They start at the left of Splash Mountain.
Wait, where?
So there's a backstage area.
Oh, I see.
Because it'll be grass. It wouldn't show anything.
Yeah.
And then the railroad, the Walt Disney World Railroad also goes through there. I thought it might be an interesting idea if you were to somehow figure out how to get rid of the parade route or redo it, having the train kind of go through New Orleans. Like, I think that would be kind of interesting.
I don't know about that.
But I don't know. And the problem is Splash Mountain is in the center of Frontierland. So you have the Country Bears and the shooting range on one side and Thunder Mountain on the other side.
I can't believe that shooting range is there. Nobody knows it exists. I've done it one time.
Do you think they're going to get rid of that whole area of Frontierland?
No.
I was talking to someone and they think they just might make Thunder Mountain and maybe like the extension of where Splash Mountain, like the play area is, and make that the new Frontierland. And
I mean, I wouldn't be Sorry, I keep cutting you off. It's something with a delay. But I was going to say, I wouldn't be opposed to it because I don't think that's like a super cool area or anything. Like, it's like okay. Mm-hmm. But like, I would. That's all I was going to say. I don't know what else I'm trying to say.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but the thing is, if we're being realistic, I don't think they have, and for the next 2 years, maybe 3, for the next few years into the future, I don't see them doing a major construction project like this. I see them doing a retheme of of Splash Mountain, and I think the concerns of the surrounding land isn't a concern.
Yeah, that makes sense. We should fix up the Splash Mountain play area, all that area down there.
Right, I agree.
Wasted space. Like, come on, put the restaurant there. Like, what are you doing?
Also, Angelo, I want to hear your opinions. Do you think because they've said that this has been something they've been thinking about doing for about a year now? Do you think that's true?
So I think that there was definitely like somebody who was like, yo, what if we got rid of it and turned it into Princess Frog? Like, I genuinely do think that somebody's proposed it, and I even think there's a good possibility they've made concept art for it, because I think they've probably made concept art for a lot of stuff. But like, I don't know if it would have ever happened. I don't think it would have happened, at least for like years, unless there was like everything going on in the world, obviously. Mm-hmm. And that's because what was I gonna say? Oh, because of COVID. I don't think they would have started this construction project if you didn't see all the like Black Lives Matter stuff and all the protesting and the advocacy and all that stuff. I don't think this would have happened because of COVID. Yes, because that's already slowed construction projects, and I think all the Black Lives Matter everything is what pushed this to the front.
Yes, I agree with you. But my thing is, I don't think without a petition and without the people, just like a bunch of people advocating for this, I don't think you would have ever had Princess and the Frog. Because I don't see how it could have been pitched in Frontierland and been gotten passed into like a planning stage.
I mean, I don't know.
Because especially the concept art they have done is for Magic Kingdom. Like, it's one thing, a lot of people were saying maybe they were planning this at Critter Country in Disneyland, and then they said, oh, you know what, because of the petitions and stuff, let's expand it to Magic Kingdom as well, right? This was like going to be one thing that they did at Disneyland. But then I don't understand why the only concept art they have is Magic Kingdom. To me, then that doesn't make sense.
I mean, they could have just been thinking of it for Magic Kingdom.
But I don't understand how it gets past. Why is it in Frontierland? Well, to me, I don't understand how it gets past that phase.
Because this is the thing, right? They're like, okay, we have to get rid of Splash Mountain because it's problematic, right? So they're like, what do we do? They're not going to make an original IP, Kevin. Like, we know they're not gonna.
I know they're not, but so all the times two do it.
But they're like, okay, so what can we replace it with? And I'm sure there were a number of things, but replacing it with Princess and the Frog is... Oh, hang on, I'm on low battery. All right, wait, 2 seconds, just plugging in a thing.
Sorry, everybody.
Okay, we're good. Okay. So, I think replacing it now and replacing it with Princess and the Frog is, like, such an important, like, for representation and for diversity and, like, for all that kind of stuff, that it's almost like a no-brainer to be like, what are we going to replace Splash Mountain with? Princess and the Frog.
Right. And this is where I want to... So let me transition into my second thing. I love the Princess and the Frog movie. I love the characters. I have a problem. We'll see. It could be done well. But to me, I'm not a big fan of the idea of shoving them into Splash Mountain. Even though Splash Mountain is my favorite ride, I think you are shoving these characters into Splash Mountain. And what really made me kind of concerned was on Thursday, they released the rough description of what the ride is.
I don't know if I read that.
It takes place after the first movie, and it is Tiana and Louise gathering their friends to prepare for a Mardi Gras celebration. And to me, this sounds so much like Frozen Ever After that it's very worrisome.
You're worried it's going to be like as hollow as Frozen Ever After?
Yes. Because first of all, here's what I think it's going to be. This could change, I think, because I think if they do this, you're going to have a little bit of... I think it's going to be Splash Mountain. I don't think they'll change the name. or they might add a tagline to it, but I think they'll try to keep it like Splash Mountain, but it'll have the Princess and the Frog characters in it. It'll be Splash Mountain with the Princess and the Frog characters. Because that way I think they can keep a lot of the animatronics and just have them get rid of all the recognizable ones, Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear, put Tiana in it, and have them gathering all their friends to celebrate, to prepare for Mardi Gras. And I think you'll get a bunch of show scenes like you do in Frozen Ever After, where they're like, are you ready for the celebration? And then that's the ride.
I think I completely disagree. And it's because I think these are obviously they're two completely different scenarios, but when you look at Frozen Ever After, what was the reason Frozen Ever After was made? It's because of the popularity of Frozen. Mm-hmm. It's because they knew it would, because Maelstrom was not bringing in people. Maelstrom, it wasn't bringing in people. I'm sorry, guys.
Yes, I agree.
But it was like they did it quickly. What was the turnaround time on Frozen Ever After? It was like a year and a half or something.
It was pretty fast.
It was quick. So it was more for like the popularity of that. And then we go to like this scenario, which like no offense to Princess and the Frog, but like it's not as big as Frozen. It's not like they're not doing it for like how popular Princess and the Frog is, in the sense that like we need to rush out a ride to like, because people are like wanting to see this property because we have a sequel coming out because this, that. It's more because this is a great property. It's important, obviously, for diversity and everything. We need to get rid of Splash Mountain. So I think they'll do it with a lot more care because of the reasoning. Right. And because it's not the reason they made Frozen a ride. It's not the same reason.
I agree with you, but for me, being realistic, how all of Disney's construction projects get a budget and they get cut back so drastically. They both, I think, what's it called? Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind just had most of its animatronics. I think it was like 6. I don't know if it was most. Like 6 of its animatronics cut. They just cut animatronics. So for me, if I'm being realistic, I don't know how many animatronics then you get on this ride.
I mean, it's a possible. I mean, I could be wrong, and then in like
at least
a few
for the
years,
future.
It's like, oh wow, that's not great. But obviously,
like if we're talking 5 years down the road, and I think Disney's basically recovered from everything going on now, right? They've gotten the construction projects that have been on hold, like the Star Wars Hotel, have been.
I don't know, dude. I think it might be a lot longer than 5 years before we're back to like.
Okay, I agree with you, but just by saying, if we're talking in the future, but if we're talking they're gonna start working on this ride pretty soon, I don't see how they could possibly get it to where it needs to be, and where guests will be. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible.
And another thing that kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel bad. So the Imagineer they put at the head of this, Charita Carter, is the head Imagineer of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I feel bad that they keep handing her these rides of like getting rid of classic attractions. And then she gets rid of a classic attraction. Cause like, I'm sorry that you have to keep like taking away these classic attractions and putting ones in them. Cause like, I think every time you get rid of a classic attraction, you're going to have people who, even if the new attraction's amazing, going to be kind of upset by it.
Yeah, that sucks that she's given like the brunt of it,
right?
To like get rid of classic attractions like that. Who got rid of Ellen's Energy? Do we know who?
No, I don't know.
wait,
but Ellen's Energy Adventure, no one really cared about.
What was the name of the Imagineer? I want to look up.
Charita Carter.
I mean, people cared about Ellen's Energy, Kevin. Don't even lie.
Did they? I remember
lie.
going on Ellen's Energy Adventure, and my parents thought it was going to be like 10 minutes, and I was like, guys, this is like a 45-minute attraction, if that.
Was she the lead Imagineer, or was she just one of the Imagineers?
I couldn't tell. She's a chief Imagineer in like a bunch of things, but she was in all this stuff for the Splash Mountain, they keep saying she's the one in charge of so it says she's in charge of the creation of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of titles that we don't understand, but that's awesome.
Right. To me, but I feel like it's like, I'm so sorry that they keep giving give her an attraction.
Just to
she
even
gets
be on no, yeah, it looks like she's in like some kind of senior role. I don't understand Imagineering ranks. I was just curious like what she's done, which rides she's done before. This is I'm in like a whole world now of titles, and I'm so confused. But I'm sorry he's getting lumped with those projects, but
right. So this is my thing. I feel like I personally, from what I interpreted from what they released, this will be a retheme. And they said things that kind of get me to think this way, where they say like you'll see Tiana pop up throughout the attraction with Luis and friends, and it's like, I don't know why that's the wording on that is like you will see Tiana pop up. Like, to me that sounds like you're literally just adding Tiana to a Splash Mountain ride, which it can't be possibly. But like if I was reading that uninformed about anything, that's what I would think.
I mean, I don't know.
But that's just my thing. I don't like that we're cramming Princess and the Frog, because I think a lot of people, rightfully so, want a Princess and the Frog ride and have all these ideas, right? With Dr. Facilier, the Shadow Man, and all this cool stuff they could do. And it's like, I don't think that's what I don't know if they'll be able to get that in this Splash Mountain. I think with all of the things that people want, I think you need your own attraction to kind of figure this out.
I mean, I think it works. So like a boat ride, like I think is like a prime, like that's what makes sense for the property.
Right.
So I think like I honestly think it could work really well. It's just how much of an overlay is it? And like, is it literally gonna be like the exact same as Splash Mountain with some animatronics like Frozen Ever After was, or like what's it gonna?
Yes, and I think a lot of my kind of worrisome about it is I feel like that's the route they're going down. It's going to be Tiana and Luis and characters in Splash Mountain celebrating Mardi Gras. And to me, that sounds like the plot of bigger. That's like the same plot of Frozen Ever After, where they're like, ooh, there's a celebration coming. And it's like that's not really a storyline. It's just like, ooh. And then Splash Mountain has a very nice storyline. It's one of the only rides that has like a storyline throughout, and I love the storyline. And for them,
it's not one of the only rides that has a storyline that has throughout, like Kevin. What do you mean?
A real storyline, like a real storyline, like that. I'm like, ooh, I'm watching a movie.
Okay.
If you can't tell, I love Splash Mountain. But
yeah.
the real, it has a storyline, and it's one of the longest attractions, right? The attraction is so long, so you have time to really like have a story go through it, right? It's not like Under the Sea with Little Mermaid, where you're like shoved from show scene to show scene. I mean, you can really get into a story here. But to me, it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
And I could be wrong, right? This is the creator behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I enjoy Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but that's kind of a hot take. A lot of people don't like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Mainly, I think, because it replaced Great Movie Ride.
One of my favorites.
But yeah, so I really hope that they don't. Pardon my speech. I hope they don't half-ass this. I hope they really go into it. What's worrying me is I don't think, from what we've seen in the past, the only ride I can point to is like Guardians of the Galaxy. That was an overlay that really worked. And to me, I think this has to work. This has to. For like the PR of the company alone, this has to work. And I'm concerned that we have this cheap Mardi Gras idea behind it. I don't think it fits, and I don't think it aesthetically fits. So I have a lot of like concerns for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it depends obviously on the execution. I am optimistic. I just think we should get the restaurant, and we should get. I think we should have more theming of the bayou. I'm fine with it.
Right. I think we could do like a whole, if you like change the idea of Critter Country into like a bayou idea and like make that in, I think that'd be really cool. But are they going to are they going to do this before the Star Wars Hotel? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
So how
the Star Wars Hotels might be gone.
Right.
For
I mean,
like
how
years.
far in the future are we looking for this project? Um, I think very far. They could surprise us, but I think very far in the future. I think they just wanted to announce that this was happening, so when they do reopen, everyone's aware. Yeah, and like any ride, I really want a Tangled ride. But if someone actually told me this, earlier when I was talking to someone, they were like, "What if they did a retheme of Tower of Terror, but Tangled, and you're like in Tangled, you're in Rapunzel's tower and you drop?" I'm like, "That's a terrible idea." Like, I love Tangled, and I like Tower of Terror a lot, but if that's a terrible idea. That's like maybe the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Like, that's gonna be your Tangled ride, and I feel the same here, where I'm like, if we're getting a Princess and the Frog ride and it's themed to Tiana gathering everybody up for a Mardi Gras celebration, I find that a little underwhelming.
What's your ideal Tangled ride? Just like a
I don't
Snow
know.
White and the Seven whatever.
I would
dwarfs.
like that. I like the idea that they.
That thing.
I like the idea they're working with at Tokyo Disney Sea, where it's going to be a boat ride, and it's going to be almost like an Omnimover system boat ride. It's this really interesting idea, and it'll go through the story of Tangled, because Tangled is great for a boat ride. I mean, that lantern scene on a boat ride, oh my gosh. Sign me up. That's amazing.
I don't know, Kevin. Let's make a boat ride for one scene.
Do you know what would fix all of their problems?
What would fix all their problems?
Well, just not the Splash Mountain one, really. I mean, retheme that to something. I don't know. I think you should just do an original project or something. I don't know. But new Fantasyland. With Tangled, Princess and the Frog.
No, just because you want Tangled, Kevin.
And also, Merida should probably get her own ride, because for some reason there is such a fan base for Merida that blows my mind at the parks. Like, have you seen, like, I've maybe every time I've been to a park, I've seen people like looking for Merida's meet and greet because they can't find it, and like so disappointed they can't find it. Like, Merida's got like a fan base.
I didn't know this.
Though, what would her ride be? I don't even know. It's like, I wouldn't want to go through the movie again.
I didn't even know people cared about Merida.
Oh my gosh, Merida? For some reason, Merida has like a really strong fan base, even though her movie's kind of not so good.
Haven't seen it, to be honest with you.
But yeah. You know what I hope though, Angelo?
What?
They don't sell out of all of their Splash Mountain merchandise before I go back. Because I need to get like a shirt or something, right?
Which Splash Mountain? Listen, sometimes Disney merch is hit or miss, right?
Right.
Like, there's some like real good Disney merch, but there's some like real stinkers. I don't remember which one Splash Mountain is, but.
And Splash Mountain, they recently had their whole 30th anniversary line, right?
Oh yeah.
And they had pops, and I was like, I was gonna get one of the pops, but then I was like, you know what? They'll have a 40th or a 50th. Naive Kevin.
Oh no.
So I didn't get it, and now they're selling for like $200 easy on eBay. So yeah. And another thing, so Splash Mountain goes under refurbishment every 1 to 2 years, right? Because they have to, because the water like erodes the colors on the animatronics and stuff and everything. So they go in, they repaint it, they clean it up every 1 to 2 years. If they were planning this for a year, or like starting in 2019, and they were thinking of doing this within like the next 2 years, I don't think they would have. They just went down for refurbishment in January and February of this year.
Well, I don't think they thought they were going to do it this soon, even if they were planning it.
Yeah, but then I feel like they want to get their money's worth of that, all that money that went to that refurbishment. Right? If I recently just paid to get the whole thing cleaned and repainted, wouldn't Disney want to get the time out of that they just invested into it?
I mean, things change.
Right. But I mean, especially now when they're really hurting for money, I would be like, yeah, let's just leave it for. But we'll see.
I mean, they could just not be planning to change it for a while, like you said.
I don't think. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they are. And like, so the whole announcement, I didn't like their whole announcement they made for this. I think you can tell by this whole thing because they asked the Bob Weiss, who's the chief, he's like the head of Imagineering, right? Big head here, and they asked him why Tiana, right? Like why Princess and the Frog, like why did you pick Princess and the Frog to go here? And he talks about New Orleans Square, and I'm like, that doesn't work for Frontierland, so that doesn't make any sense to me. But it works in Disneyland, obviously, but not in Disney World. And then they talk about he goes on about like how Tiana is such a great character, right? Which she is, but it's like that doesn't tell me why you're not talking about the movie too. You're talking about Tiana specifically, which makes me even think more that you're just going to put Tiana on this ride.
I mean, it's interesting.
I didn't like how they announced it. I think to me it seemed rushed. It seemed thrown together.
I mean, I think the announcement was definitely
definitely rushed. Quick. I mean, they wanted to get in front of this, and I mean, right. So it was, but I think it was rushed. But I mean, like, if you're gonna do this, you need to do it right. And so this idea of rushing is not gonna work out in the long run. And that's my take on it.
I mean, it remains to be seen if the actual ride will be rushed, but we will see.
Right, and I hope, I honestly hope they change they're like, that Mardi Gras idea, or at least the concept of we're preparing for Mardi Gras throughout the entire ride, we're scrapping it. I would like them to do that very much.
I mean, it could be the best Mardi Gras ever, though, Kevin.
It could be, but like, when has there ever been a ride where they're like, ooh, we're doing a celebration? I think the only one I can think of is Frozen Ever After, really, though. But I mean, like,
you're just hurt by Frozen Ever After.
I don't like rides that have like a BS story.
I'm sure it's gonna have more of a story, Kevin. I can guarantee you.
Do you
there's
think
gonna be more than just we're having a Mardi Gras celebration?
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. When do you think they're gonna do the Friends from the Other Side element of it?
I don't know.
I think.
What do you think?
A lot of people are thinking the lift hill. I feel like they're gonna do dig a little deeper for the lift hill, but they should do dig a little. Because you're coming out of Mama Odie's tree. I think you kind of have to dig a little deeper, right? You're coming out of her tree, so that dig a little deeper happens in her tree.
What do you think the end song will be?
I imagine it's dig a little deeper. It might be almost there though.
The drop and
I don't know. You could do. I don't know. You could. What they might do. Again, I'm speaking on Disney World, Disney, because they're both set up a little differently. But for argument's sake, I think I'm talking about Disney World because they're both Splash Mountains are different, so they're gonna have different stuff for both of them, which is going to be really interesting. But I think
they're not that. How different are they?
They have different drops. They have. I don't believe the one in Disneyland. I haven't been on it in a while, but I don't believe it has the whole. When you go into the laughing place in Disney World, you have like this whole thing where you go down and then up in darkness. I don't think you have that in Disneyland. But I think that will be Friends from the Other Side, and the laughing place will be Friends from the Other Side, going into Are You Ready, going up possibly, and then doing Dig a Little Deeper at the end. They could also do I'm Almost There at the end. But I feel like Almost There is a very beginning song. But like the song in the Bayou is a very beginning song. I don't know how they're gonna do it, and I'm very excited for the possibilities. But if personally, knowing how Disney works, or how they've worked in the last few years, I don't see realistically any way this. I'm very concerned. But yeah.
I mean, we'll see. I'm optimistic. I'm excited for the New Orleans Bayou-esque theming.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of that's where I'm at with it. I know you have, as we've talked about, a lot more.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to have frogs on the attraction?
What do you mean?
This is a huge
Wait,
debate online.
Of course they're going to have frogs.
So there's this huge debate online of whether or not they're going to have frogs.
Why is that a debate?
I don't know. Some people are like
something.
Some people are like, there's not going to be frogs. And then other people are like, it's called Princess and the Frog. There's going to be frogs. I don't really know the whole thing of the
Why
debate.
wouldn't there be frogs?
Because it takes place after the movie.
Oh, they'll just redo the movie, I bet. They'll be like, all right, now you're frogs again, even though we're after the movie.
Yeah, but I think if you make... There's a lot of people are upset that Tiana becomes a frog in the movie, and I think if you make Tiana a frog in the ride, people are going to be a little shook.
Yeah, but like you can say the same thing about every other ride ever made.
But yeah, I hope we get the restaurant. Honestly, I'm very excited for what could be a like Princess and the Frog restaurant. I think that's like a genius idea.
I think it is too. Listen, you know me and sit down restaurants.
But are they really going to put that effort into it? Probably not, but I would like them to. I think they're in a hard place because they have to put a lot of effort into this, or I think people are going to be upset, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot more eyes are on this than are on, because no one cares about Maelstrom, right? So Frozen After, if they do a Frozen Ever After job, personally I'm going to be upset. I mean, I'm fine with Frozen Ever After, but that's not Splash Mountain. Maelstrom.
I'm not really fine with Frozen Ever After. I'm very upset about Frozen Ever After.
Maelstrom, I didn't care about. I know a lot of people did. I didn't really care about Maelstrom, but Splash Mountain I think is a superior ride to Maelstrom. So the ride you make taking its place needs to be just as good.
You know what was a more superior ride than Maelstrom?
What?
The Great Movie Ride.
That movie, I don't have like the nostalgic factor of the Great Movie Ride for some reason. Like I love the ride. I don't have the nostalgic, like, so I'm fine with Mickey and Minnie's. But I miss Great Movie Ride.
I haven't been on it yet. Maybe Mickey and Minnie's
I don't think
ride ever.
Mickey and Minnie's, the hate for that ride would have, or not hate, I don't think there's like hate for it, but also if it wasn't a Mickey Mouse attraction, it would get a lot more. It really lucked out because the whole situation with the virus cut it off of, like it was open for a few weeks and then done. Like no, there wasn't really chatter about it. But I think there would have been if there wasn't.
Wait, there would have been,
chatter about people being like, what is this Mickey and Minnie's ride is stupid. Because there's a lot of people who hate Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I like it. But a lot of people do not.
I just missed the Great Movie Ride.
What?
I just missed the Great Movie Ride.
Yes, I too missed the Great Movie Ride.
That's all. That's all. Mate coming back.
And I'll miss poor rides that are. I mean,
Why
no ride
is
is
the
forever.
ride in the Chinese theater? Why is the ride in the Chinese theater Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad?
Well, because it takes place in the Chinese theater.
It doesn't make. Okay, I can make a Minecraft ride. It takes place in the Chinese theaters. I mean, it's like makes sense to put in the Chinese theater.
If it was a Minecraft movie and it was premiering at the Chinese theater, it's a Mickey Mouse cartoon premiering.
You would
at the
be
Chinese
okay
theater.
if they made the Minecraft ride premiere at the Chinese theater.
I think
that's what I thought, Kevin.
They
That's
loosely
what I
make
thought.
it.
That's
they
what
loosely
I
make
thought.
it work. The outside does match the aesthetic of Hollywood studios, and I think they loosely make it work.
No.
Just like I think if they did for Princess and the Frog, if the outside looked more like Frontierland, but the interior was the bayou, and they somehow made that work, they made it blend. That I would be fine with that. I don't think this concept art looks like Frontierland. I don't think anyone would ever can. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see.
We will see. Kevin,
we will see what Tiana has in store.
What else do we have to say?
I don't know.
I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, this has been most what people are talking about nowadays with Disney.
Yeah, there's not much. Disneyland was delayed,
Yes, the Disneyland was delayed.
That was the big news. Obviously, makes sense. Coronavirus stuff is spiking as it is.
I
don't know if there's anything else to say about that.
Especially the employees are clearly unhappy with coming back to work with the current situation. Right. So, I mean, it makes sense. Postpone. I mean, it didn't postpone because of that, but it makes sense to me.
Right.
I think a lot of people in Florida don't care. So, I think that's like the issue there. And they are going to They're going to plow through to that opening, Angelo. They're going to plow through. I don't think they're stopping that opening at Disney World. They're plowing through.
But.
And, I was thinking, you know what? I probably wouldn't go back to Disney World for a little bit because, the coronavirus, I don't know. Now that Splash Mountain is closing, I think I need to ride this ride as many times as I can before
Kevin,
it goes.
Listen, as soon as coronavirus is gone, we do the Mouse and Men trip to Disney. We just be hanging out there.
Yes.
Living our best lives.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't take a family vacation at Disney in this current world. No, don't do that. It's probably not a good idea. But, I mean, if you're an annual pass holder or someone and you go to Disney all the time, just go, and if there's a line, don't stand in that line. If there's, I think it's okay as long as you're 6 feet. Just don't go, it's outdoors. Don't go on rides that have indoor queues.
I mean, if they do temperatures, don't you know everyone's... you should still obviously...
Everyone doesn't have a temperature, but I could...
Oh, true. I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything. I'm a dumb idiot, okay? Don't trust me for anything.
Wow. Really going to shame yourself, Angelo.
Hey, I'm saying I don't know anything, okay? I'm not giving advice. But all right, Kevin.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Run out of... Maybe, but probably not. I think I went on my little rant. I'm sorry if anyone's upset by my rant. You shouldn't be. I feel like it's my opinion. You can go on the ride.
You're more worried that the ride could end up not good and stuff like that.
Right. So I'm sad. Splash Mountain is my favorite ride. The ride is still there. It's just going to be rethemed, and I'm sad that the characters are going to be gone. But I'm more upset that I don't feel like this retheme is being handled the best way. That's what's more upsetting to me, is that I feel like Princess and the Frog deserves better than this, and I feel like Splash Mountain deserves better than this. So we'll see.
Well, we must wait and see.
Right, they could surprise me. It could be in a year, Angelo, or whenever they do this. When they give
20 years when Disney has money again.
When they give out their whole plans and I'm eating my words, have it here, guys. I will say it. I'll be like, guys, I was so wrong. I've never been more wrong in my life.
You'll hear it here first on the Of Mouse and Men
You'll
podcast.
hear it here. So if you want to hear me eat my own words, come back, guys. Stay tuned.
Yeah. While you're at it, give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Stay around a little while. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on... What else are we on? TikTok. I
think we're on Twitter, right?
We're on Twitter. We haven't tweeted.
Are we active?
Probably
No, we're not.
Nope. I'll get on that. Follow us on all of the things. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Whatever you choose to do in this time.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. If you choose to look at our beautiful faces, thank you. I'm sorry that they look like this, but we can't help it. That's how we were born.
Thank you so much for watching. As always, this has been the Of Mouse and Men podcast.
Yes, and I'm Kevin. I will always be Kevin.
I'm Angelo. Might change eventually. No.
Maybe I don't want to say that. It could in the future. My name could be like Kevon or something. I don't know. maybe people are naming their kids Corona.
What?
It popped into one of the most trending names now. I don't know. Why would I want to name my kid the coronavirus? Is beyond me. But hey, I don't want to shame you if you're listening. Corona, if you're listening to this, hi, what's up? Welcome to the world.
Hey, it was the Kingdom in Tangled.
Yes, I made that joke a while ago, but no one thought it was funny. And then other people made the joke, and it was hilarious. Not salty about it at all. But you know what's actually great? Side note. I've been seeing on Instagram and stuff, people are finally understanding Tangled. I don't know why it took this long, but I'm seeing a lot of memes was like, I never caught this in Tangled. Or like, I never knew this. And it's like, finally people are catching on to some of the real peak writing in Tangled. That's
I think we're in the nostalgia era of Tangled.
Are we? I mean...
It's been 10 years, right?
Tangled is such a good movie. Tokyo Disney Sea, I will go there when their Fantasy Springs opens and ride Tangled the ride because we're not getting it here.
That's true. We're not getting Tangled the ride, but when we do, we will be the first.
as a letter to Disney, can we figure out how to get new Fantasyland going? Like, in full on honesty.
We need new Tomorrowland.
I want a Tangled ride, okay? And listen, it's not enough anymore for me to go into the best bathroom in Disney property and sit on the toilet and pretend I'm riding a ride, okay? That denial's not going to work anymore, okay? I would like a Tangled ride. Please deliver it to me, okay? Do I need to start a petition? What do I need to do?
Thank you so much for listening.
Until next,
what's our outro?
Is our outro?
Until, what is it?
You're so unprofessional. Can you like?
Can you just say it? I remember now.
Until next time,
So
as
long.
always.
Wait, there's no as always.
That's not it. I'm on.
That's not. What are you doing?
What are we doing?
Until
What is
next
happening?
time. So long, everybody.
That was really weird outro.